Welcome to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, the City Beneath. I'm Grant Howitt, and I'm joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. In these episodes, we'll be going through the text of the book and discussing how we came to design the game. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com.
You were a magician, but you always knew there was something more. In the city above, magic is a pale imitation of what it can be in the heart. Down here, there is true power to be channeled, i.e. stolen, from beings of tremendous power. You see that the rites of the spell-slinging occultists and the miracle-summoning priest of the spire are nothing but two sides of the same coin. Tricks that redirect ambient energy into desired effects.
I think that's the least exciting method, the description of magic we've ever had. Redirecting ambient energy into desired effects.
Making things happen because you made them happen.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
That was Chris reading the intro to the Junk Mage there. The Junk Mage is a class. I think it took us about an afternoon to name them, and in that time we had to change what they were doing.
Yeah, we had an idea for them, and then we went, Junk Mage. Oh, hang on. We've got a better idea.
Yeah. So they had a tumultuous birth. They went through a lot of different things, and then we ended up we couldn't come up with a decent name. We had something around thaumaturge, around that vibe.
Yeah, that kind of hedge maze.
Gutter wizard we had as well.
Yes, yeah, gutter wizard I think was the one that lasted the longest.
I think the thing we had with the Gutter Wizard was we wanted them to be sort of magical hackers, taking different parts of spells and combining them.
Yeah, and also for elements that we had existing already in Spire, with the midwife, when they summon sweetlings, they can find what's inside a building and things like that. The Blood Witch can do a similar thing.
Yeah, the Blood Witch was a hacking class originally, weren't they?
Yeah, but we'll get to them.
Well, I mean, the Spire Blood Witch.
Yes,
this one's
but
very different.
we can track their evolution later.
But we changed them to Junk Mages, and then we figured that the most Howard and Taylor thing we could come up with was a warlock whose patron didn't know they were doing it.
Yeah, so, and the Junk Mage name is essentially a complicated pun. It's not very funny.
Yeah.
But it's a pun in that they cobble together shit. But also junk as in addiction and heroin and that sort of thing. In that they're addicted to their magic.
We don't really go into the addiction to the magic thing, really.
I mean, we mention it in the intro.
We reward them for taking mind stress.
Yes.
Which is good. So I suppose that there's kind of the element there. But we couldn't really come up with a really interesting way of having an interesting and sympathetic view of addiction, which was a fun game mechanic.
Yeah, rather than you've just robbed your mother's telly for the third time.
Yeah, so we just told you were hooked on it. Yeah, and that's fine.
And I mean, the ravening knowledge power does, to a degree, show that, because the more fucked up you are, the better you are, and that gives us a little space to sort of say, look. You think you're better on drugs? You kind of are, because this is Heart. But it's still not necessarily safe.
I really like the Junk Mage art. I like how, out of all the classes who are here, they look the least prepared for this.
They look worried, and their nose is broken. And the interesting thing with the original Junk Mage art is it had sideburns. And this is a very, very minor thing, but we got to just take off the sideburns and make them incredibly non-binary.
Yeah, you can any or no gender.
Yeah, it's not it's not a picture you just look at say the Incarnadine, where you look at and go, well, that's definitely masculine presenting.
That's a 1950s movie star.
And salacious with it. But the Junk Mage is much more agnostic.
One of the few dungeon crawlers to wear a cravat. Which I like.
Tucked under vials. And I like how half of the things that they have are on fire.
Absolutely. Yeah, like they've got a lit candle in their bag, which seems like a great idea. Yeah, Felix did such a lovely job with the Junk Mage. I feel a definite kinship with them in terms of like, I don't know how I got here, but this is interesting, isn't
it? Well, here we are.
I'm going to skip right ahead to the major abilities.
Okay, you're going to skip over the minors.
We can come back to the minors later on if we can come up with anything interesting to say. But we've talked a lot about.
I think there's one small quick thing to say about the minors.
Okay.
Which is the fact that there are three or four abilities that are marks.
They're like tattoos, yeah.
So not only are they like physical marks on your body, but like there's this element of a mark on your soul. Like because you're using the power of the Red King, you've got the mark of hunger. There's something branded into you now that like you can smell magic. It's become innate and it's become a part of you and it's changed you.
I will say, actually, these are... So, yes, there is something interesting to say here, because the Junk Mages are one of the most magical classes we have. In a game where over 90% of the classes are warlocks, they're the most warlocky. But Mark of the Phantom, for example, silver grey skin spells and litanies of obfuscation wind their way over your body. You're an aberration in space and time, glitching through the city beneath. Gain the evade skill, and then whatever. There's some stuff on the end of it. But one thing which we wanted to get across was that you can do wizard shit. You can do magic and just say you're doing a skill.
Yeah.
And that's just fluff. That's just fiction. It doesn't like I don't mind whether your character has the evade skill because they're slightly translucent or because they trained for years sneaking and hiding from people. Or they're part raven, whatever. I actually don't mind. I'd rather you came up with something that was interesting to you, and then feed that back into the game. And so the Junk Mage was an effort to really sort of say that you can have occult means for skills, but we don't need to get into the rules of magic to play them out.
Yeah, and this backfired on us horribly in the playtest.
Oh my god, yeah. Which we'll get to when we get to the witch.
Well, I mean, roll with mastery when you attempt to cast a spell.
Yeah.
Like it was ever present in the Junk Mage 2, which was we had to start defining what a spell was because a lot of our playtesters, I won't say nobody, but a lot of our playtesters couldn't agree what a spell was.
The pre-gens, which I bought to Gen Con to promote Heart, you rolled with mastery when you cast a spell when you had mind stress 4 or higher, and there were no spells.
Not one
on that character, not a single spell. So interesting challenges all there.
We think we fixed it, maybe.
Yeah, we felt like we gave them like all their mages are spells now.
Yeah, we lawyered up the wording a bit.
You get one, and then with the Blood Witch, we just had you know what? When you do a thing,
basically
you
magic,
get to roll with mastery. Yeah, just use some magic, whatever. It's just words, isn't it? The Junk Mage was an effort to sort of let you show that there are other ways of getting domains and skills.
Yeah.
Now, major abilities.
Now, the major abilities here are some of the most world building we do in the classes.
And they never mention them anywhere else.
Because in a lot of cases, the worlds we create in these abilities just don't exist anywhere else. It's only like they're only in your game if there's a Junk Mage.
And if they take this ability.
Yeah, so we've got specifically the Sky Court, the Red King, and the Drowned Queen. And the Stone Chorus, yes.
Stone Chorus, yeah. Which eagle-eyed viewers will note that those are just the 4 elements.
Gasp!
Yeah. I remember I was sitting in you know those. Yeah, they're very popular. Well, not at the moment because we're recording during the quarantine period of the bastard pox. But do you remember about 6 months ago, it was very popular to put a load of sort of slightly ramshackle restaurants in one large warehouse.
Yes, Grant, I live in Sheffield, the home of that.
Ah, yes, because all your buildings are warehouses.
All of our buildings are warehouses, and all of them are like, well, we're a pop-up boutique who sell one type of sandwich.
Pop-up hairdressers.
And 30 kinds of gin.
Pop-up dog butcher.
Yeah. Anyway,
I was in one of those. I was thinking, what the Jeff am I going to do for air? Because it come up with like we had fire was a red dragon. Water was basically the House Staris.
Yeah.
From Spire, but more so.
Spoilers. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Wet sad elves. The Earth is Tartarus from Greek mythology. And then air is like, I don't know, fucking birds.
Birds, why not?
Birds, I guess, something tall. We ended up on the Sky Court, who are I got to do my favourite thing in the game, which is write about a fey otherworld.
Yes. So the Sky Court comes out of the fact that Grant has burned into his very bones a need to talk about fey.
Yeah.
It comes up like if you're aware of Grant's one pages. It comes up every time. Grant's like, I've thought of a new one pager. It's about Fae. All right, is it about anything
fairies,
else?
Right? Wow. I guess. I suppose. Yeah, I find the idea of Fae and fairy and like alien creatures absolutely fascinating ever since I read Lords and Ladies by Terry Pratchett.
The Sky Court power is really interesting because it feeds into the concept of addiction, because you've got to drink strong liquor or take narcotics, basically. I mean, it also mentions a contract, but I'm just going to do that. And then everybody is suddenly at a bacchanal.
It's a sexy party spell.
It's a sexy party spell. It's kind of similar to the some things the Idol could do in Spire.
Yeah.
But they made art, whereas you just set them off.
And initially, like it was drink, drugs, dance, and sex. And then Chris was like, "I don't want to play in that game.
Yeah,
I don't want to play. I don't want to play in a game where the wizard has a fuck spell. That seems kind of Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Can we broaden that out a bit?
When you cast an AOE get it on spell, like there's an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we removed that, and it wasn't a fight to remove it, but it had to be removed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we just sort of broadened it out. But it lets you have a sexy party, but you have to have you have to take drugs nearby. But I think that's kind of the Junk Mage character.
Yeah. And then we get on to I think my favourite, which is the Red King. The Red King is a dragon. It's a dragon. There's no two ways about it. The Red King is a dragon who lives on another plane of dragon.
Whereas the Red King's one desire is wealth. He was so devoted to the pursuit of gold that he dreamed of himself a reality of infinite splendour.
Yes, and
he is the Red Dragon.
And then he consumed it because he was so greedy. So there is now in where the Red King exists. I was about to say lives, but that's probably the wrong word. There is nothing but the Red King, because the Red King has consumed it all, and all of the Red King powers are about that excessive consumerism, excessive want, excessive need for stuff. So you can make your unarmed attacks, gain the range tags, you conjure flames on clothing, you start burning stuff out of envy. With the greed of the Red King, you can determine what somebody wants right now and smell money. And you can improve things you've got, and then you can eat them. Like you can get a handful of loose change and consume it to get rid of mind, blood, or echo, which is ridiculous in the context of the
echo,
game.
yeah.
The fact that you can get rid of echo by eating money.
Echo's really hard to shift.
Yep. And then there's the King Demands, which in Spire was an idle power.
Render unto me.
Yeah. A king demands. Once per session, you can demand that the target holding any item gives you that item and they must obey. Like, you notice there's no... I mean, I realise we don't have them, but there's no saving throw.
No, absolutely
It's
not.
purely narrative. It's purely
it's
like...
there to surprise the GM.
Give it to me, it's mine.
I want that.
Yep, and you get it. And I love that concept of unbridled greed. And we'll see the Red King again in the Zeniths.
Yeah. And so, like, with the Sky Court are junky Fae who have I think they have the concept of past and future wiped. So they only exist in this sort of tormented present, and they can't imagine it changing.
Yeah, I mean, it's MDMA, the power.
Yeah, broadly, yeah. Not quite as actually, it's just MDMA. Yeah. You can just
It's a spell that does Mandy.
They do. They do also have the ability to make a moment last in inverted commas forever. But it kind of lets you. It's a moment eternal, initially created to make kissing better.
Yeah, that was its purpose.
Lets you do things like pick locks, and like I don't know, like put a splint on someone's broken leg before the bear comes and eats you.
Write a quick chapter in your journal.
Yeah, that sort of thing. It was fun. It was a fun way of playing with the idea of elementalism and the idea of warlocks, and trying to make them weird and personal to our fiction. I will also note that the kiss of the drowned queen. The reason so it comes with a weapon. It comes with a piercing weapon, which is great, and it does extra damage if the target is at least shin deep in water. And that didn't used to come with the major, and everyone just took it.
Yes.
Like it was like that was your auto purchase. You took that one because you can point at someone and they drown, and there was the element of like, oh, that's the. It wasn't like mechanically the best spell, but it was the coolest spell.
Yeah.
So we had to up the cool on the others.
Yeah, and I really like the Drowned Queen because it helps us expand on things that we've dealt with in Spire without directly necessarily referencing them. So you don't need to know anything about Spire to play this game. But the Drowned Queen is, and we don't mention this anywhere, but is the previous ruler of House Staris from Spire.
What's the epithet for Staris? Is it the Drowned Court?
I guess you can't remember Drowned Kings.
I don't know. I'll look it up while you talk.
Yes. So it's the Queen of House Staris, who was a ruler of the home nations for the longest time, until her entire line was intentionally drowned because they were so awful and reprehensible. So while the Red King could have been like a primal force eternal, the Drowned Queen is actually like within the last 100 years she's risen to power like this. Like she's died and been so powerful that she's a force you can call on as a patron.
Yeah, it's just the Staris, the Drowned Kings.
Yeah, and that really for me reinforces how the religion in Spire works, because if you look at all the human gods in Spire, they're ascended humans. And a lot of them aren't decades old. Some of them are a year old in some cases.
Yeah, a lot more recent.
And everything in this game is happening now and to you. And the Drowned Queen is an example of that. She just got so powerful that she might as well be called a god. Why not?
And so I think she's only got one power now. She used to have two.
She did have two, yeah.
And we sort of mushed them together. Because the other one was, I think, like we had it was all themed around like death, and we couldn't come up with it. It's hyper specific, like you can give undead creatures orders, which made sense for a Queen of Death, but not in a game where you might not meet a ghost.
And also, like we'd done that power and we thought that was great, and then we carried on with the rest of the book, and then we did the Adversaries chapter, and then realised that there wasn't a whole bunch of undead.
There is a ghost and a skeleton.
But it's one of those things, right? Like, if you've taken the Drowned Queen's abilities, your GM is then being signalled, make the game wetter.
Yes, for sure.
Right.
And I think like we've also got like Body of Water. Hang on. No, it's gone.
Body of Water still exists.
Body of Water. No, it was the So it's under Slumbering Eternal. Once per session, you also locate a useful source of water: a stream, a pipe, a drain, a reservoir, a waterfall, etc. So, which rather lets you use your abilities, or at least theme the game around you. Yeah,
but the GM is also beholden to increase the wetness, increase the dampness of the game.
Increase the dampness. Let's talk about Zeniths.
Let's talk about the Stone Chorus, because I feel like we're missing out the Stone Chorus.
It's the least exciting Zenith and the least exciting power.
Wow.
I'm sorry. It's Earth, man. No one gives a shit about Earth.
I think people who watch, like, Avatar The Last Airbender are going to be very upset with you right now.
Sorry, so they've got, like, an airbender, they've got a waterbender. Don't really remember if there was a main Earthbender character, was there? I'm sure there
very
was.
Important, very cool one.
what's the like the Soily Gem, Muddy Gem was there.
Muddy Gem, yeah, Muddy Gem. Have you seen it recently?
Throwing around big handfuls, it's just big like lumps of dirt.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Stone Chorus, they're there. I'm sorry. I don't really care about them. I'm sorry. I couldn't come up with anything interesting for dirt. We did the best we could.
The Sanctum of Stone Chorus is an interesting one because it references the parasitic temples of the old gods.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting thing to start weaving into your campaign. Again, this is one of the few places that that's ever mentioned. Mm-hmm. And it gives you access to your own fracture, for want of a better way of putting it, that even the Deadwalker can't access.
I will say, like, I don't know whether... I'm going to claim it was deliberate, but it just happened by accident. I deliberately made the Stone Chorus not very exciting, because their power is really fucking useful. It basically gives you a sort of van... or like a portable storage room.
It gives you a Learman's tiny hut.
Yeah, which is maybe cursed. I don't know.
It also, and I'd like to point this out, removes D6 from Echo when you go there.
Yeah, Junk Mages is surprisingly survivable.
Junk Mages can make ridiculous tanks. If you're of the min-maxing mind, although why you min-maxing a narrative game, I don't get. But
we haven't talked about their core ability actually, where they can consume resource to get soak equal to the value they roll.
Mm-hmm. That's silly.
Yeah, so you can go up against pretty much anything you want as long as you've got like valuable enough coins which you're eating.
Yeah, like, or you can do a line of powdered heart's blood and take a knife to the chest and be fine. Yeah. Like if you roll a 6.
As long as you describe casting a spell at some point during that interaction, it's fine. Go for it. Yeah.
But not only with the Sanctum do you get to go there and meditate and gain back Echo, like because you're out of the heart, you're in something so different that the heart ebbs away. You can then start accessing it like a warehouse, for want of a better way of putting it, and then you start finding shit other people have put there. Which powers all of your other abilities really well. Like, I've not yet seen somebody take Stone Chorus in a game. And those people are stupid.
Well, it's like okay, do you want infinite fireballs? Do you want to drown someone on dry land? Do you want a sort of gaseous MDMA that leaks out your ears? Or storage capacity?
Do you want a bigger backpack? And like I've played enough RPGs,
a massive backpack.
The backpack is pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, I should point out, the Stone Chorus is actually on the cover.
Yes, that is fair.
That is that is a part of the Stone Chorus on the hands on the cover.
Yeah, it's fair. Like, no, I think I'm talking them down a lot, but I wouldn't have put something in the book if I didn't like it.
No, they're good, they're interesting, but they're not. They don't have the sparkle that everybody else does.
No.
And that is an oversight on our part. Like I'm sure we could have made it sparklier if we'd have thought longer and harder. But I really like the Stone Chorus. I've always liked Spirits, mate. It's because I'm a boring person.
Well, also, like you're really into Greek mythology. You did classics.
Yeah, it's true.
And so, like the idea of having a Tartarus version of Earth, is that how it's pronounced? Tartarus?
Tartarus. No, it's Tartarus.
Tartarus.
I've always pronounced it Tartarus.
Having that sort of like hell, having Earth as hell, but not the sort of hot punishment hell. Just to sort of, now fuck off down there, okay? We can't deal with you right now.
Jog on.
And how like in a game about old gods and forbidden religions, like okay, and like forbidden magics, you can just jam all of that into one spell, and your Junk Mage is like, no, I want to be like, I want the real shit.
Yeah, I mean, for classics students, as it were, and anybody that's ever read Greek mythology and the like the Stone Chorus are the Titans. Like, they're what came before everything. They are while the Drowned Queen is within the last couple of decades, the Stone Chorus are beyond ancient.
Oh, also, they used to have a second one.
They did.
They used to have the capacity to. It was like shaping stone.
Mm-hmm. You could dig through tunnel and rock.
You could like imprison someone as sacrifice.
Yeah,
and I really like that bit because in the fluff text for that we were like, you've discovered the truth behind the Stone Chorus. They're hiding from something.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the idea that like they put themselves in there because they were scared of
they sealed
gods.
the old gods sealed themselves away to protect them.
And unfortunately, we didn't really have room for that.
Well, we did, but it was in Deep Apiarist. We gave them that power as a zenith. When they encased things in crystal, they moved over there.
That's true. Yeah,
I'd like to point out that we have a document when we're making games, which is called Chris's Powers to Steals, which is where we shift all.
Excuse me. It's called Chris's Big List of Powers for Steals.
Yes, and it was once, I believe, called Grist for the Mill.
Yeah, that was a proper name for the document.
Which is where we write a power and we go, that's good. Damn, that doesn't fit. And we shift it over. And we we strip out a little bit of the fluff to it, and we leave it there because we like it, but it's not right for what we're doing. And then we go, oh, hang on, there's something in this document, and we can pull wholesale these powers over, change the tone, change a couple of the details, and make it another power. And that's what happened. So the Stone Chorus became a Deep Apiarist Zenith. Talking of Zeniths, segue.
Herald of the Red King is one of the first ones we wrote.
Real early, actually. Yeah, that was incredibly early.
You summon the biggest dragon you can think of,
and like an actual dragon whose blood is molten coins.
And like again, we don't say it's a dragon. It's a writhing town-sized knot of jealousy and fire and iron-hard scales and breathes flame.
It's a dragon.
It's a dragon, lads. Okay,
dragons are in the game. It's fine.
Yeah. We've got this dragon, and we've got there's a baby dragon later on.
There's an egg dragon, yeah, the Widden in the library.
Yeah, there's a dragon here. I think like dragons are, I'm gonna say, half of dungeon crawling. The other half, you don't get
the latter half.
Yeah, we couldn't really come up with anything interesting enough for them, and also they felt a bit powerful.
Yeah, one thing we didn't want in the heart was these overbearing creatures that are everywhere. Like in Dungeons and Dragons, there's always a dragon in the mountains or the caves or somewhere. Like everywhere is basically menaced by a dragon. We have things of the same echelon, of the same tier in the angels.
A very, very different vibe.
A very different vibe, but also they're targeted. You don't just have an angel wandering the landscape because they fancy it.
An angel doesn't want to amass gold unless it's been told to do so.
Yeah, whereas a dragon is a free agent, and it's a natural creature, so it moves around, it makes a home, and it defends its territory. It's
also really hard to play an NPC who's smarter than you.
Yeah, and one that can just fly away when they get hit by one arrow.
You love that bit. You always mention that when dragons come
Makes me so angry.
How DMs don't just fuck off.
Like if you're playing D&D, and if the dragon goes, oh, hang on, they're attacking me. Ow, that actually hurt. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I'll wait until they're asleep and just burn the town down. But yes, anyway, Herald of the Red King.
Yeah, you summon a red dragon.
You summon a red dragon, but the best part of this is that you have to roll Endure Occult. And if you succeed, you become the Red King.
That's pretty cool.
So you die, the current Red King dies, and you become the Red King. You take over, and like dragon. I assume you start off as a human with coin gold blood, and then slowly morph into the form of the Red King. But then you can be summoned by other Junk Mages.
Yeah, right. Just you, like Dark Souls fat, rocking up.
Yeah. And then on a failure on this roll, you're added to his horde. Now, if you'll remember, there's nothing in the Red King's realm because he's eaten it all. So you join the rest of the coin in his blood.
In his big tummy.
Delicious.
We've got the Herald of the Drowned Queen, which is the only top tier ability in any role-playing game, which puts you into an arranged marriage.
Which gives you a wife.
Yeah. Beautiful wife. Now, is she an interdimensional eel? Probably.
Can't say no.
can't say no. But yeah, it puts you into a tremendously powerful relationship with the Drowned Queen. You take over a landmark, and you're like, cool. I want 2 sessions of political maneuvering, please, with my giant waifu behind me.
But the best thing about this, right, is that in a lot of the you become a landmark powers, like you become a church, and you look after a church, whatever. In this one, you become Grima Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sorry, yeah, I'd gotten confused. Like, you start as her advisor, and then one of the routes out of the campaign is maybe you get married to her.
Yes, and it's the fact that, like, you're actually not in control of this Zenith to begin with. Like, she can just go, nah, fuck you.
Absolutely not.
But you're whispering in the ear of a entity more powerful than you by magnitudes.
You're like god tier.
Yeah. And if she starts following your advice, maybe you get a nice marriage out of it.
Yeah.
To an undead drow.
And then Herald of the Stone Chorus, where you imprison someone. And I really like the flavour text for this. It's just, you throw open the door to the chorus's prison. While they look on in shock, you throw another captive into the cell. Just like, gentlemen! And then slam the door.
But the most important thing about this is nothing can free the target from its prison short of you, the door, agreeing to open.
Oh yeah, you become the door, don't you?
So now that you've become the door, the Titans can't return unless you think it's okay. Like,
I like how many of the Junk Mages that have set up the next campaign.
Yes, yeah, like they're begging for a second season, right?
Yeah.
The Stone Chorus is, I think the Stone Chorus of the Zenith is so good.
It's fun.
So good.
You know what I'm begging for?
What's that?
Us to move on to the next section. You've been listening to the Director's Commentary podcast for Heart, the City Beneath. I was Grant Howitt, and I was joined by Christopher Taylor, and we wrote the Heart RPG. For more information on Heart and our other titles, go to rrdgames.com.